When we think of Beethoven and his creative output, we think of many different compositions. For Elise, Moonlight Sonata, Pathétique Sonata, as well as his 9 symphonies, including Symphony No. 5, and Symphony No. 9. The latter of which is widely considered today as one of the greatest achievements ever in the history of music.
But what if I told you that Beethoven didn't just write 9 symphonies? What if I told you that he actually began work on a 10th symphony, which he never completed due to his death? And what if I told you that nearly 200 years later, a group of composers, musicologists, and computer scientists finally managed to complete it using artificial intelligence? This is the story of Beethoven's unfinished 10th symphony.
In 1824, one of history's most beloved and well-known works of music premiered in Vienna, Austria, receiving nearly universal praise and admiration: Beethoven's Symphony No. 9 in D minor. The explosive ending sung by the chorus in the finale would eventually become one of the most recognized melodies in history, commonly known today as Ode to Joy. Beethoven would then spend the next 3 years of his life primarily writing string quartets before he passed away in 1827. However, more recently, historians have uncovered references that reveal that Beethoven may have begun work on a 10th symphony that, due to his deteriorating health, was never completed. All that remains today are some fragmentary sketches for a first movement. Since these sketches were clearly intended for the same symphony, there is now a general consensus that Beethoven did in fact intend to compose another symphony. In 1988, the English musicologist Barry Cooper collected over 250 measures of these sketches, which he wove together to form the first movement, all while remaining faithful to Beethoven's original style and compositional method. In the end, Cooper's reconstruction of the first movement consisted of an andante in E-flat major, enclosing a central allegro in C minor. Although he also claimed to have found sketches for a scherzo, these were too few to truly assemble into a full movement. Nonetheless, Cooper's score premiered at a concert given in 1988 by the Royal Philharmonic Society in London, to whom Beethoven himself had offered the new symphony back in 1817. And at the time, everyone thought that this was the extent of Beethoven's forgotten 10th symphony. Then, in 2021, nearly 35 years after the premiere of Cooper's reconstruction of the first movement, a group of musicologists, composers, and computer scientists finally completed the last 2 movements of Beethoven's 10th symphony with the use of artificial intelligence. Over the course of 18 months, the team had to use notes and completed compositions from Beethoven's entire body of work, along with the available sketches from the 10th symphony to create something that Beethoven himself might have written. Before completing the actual symphony, the team conducted various tests to see if they were on the right track. In one such test, the team asked an audience to listen to short musical excerpts and see if they could identify where Beethoven's phrase ends and where the AI extrapolation begins. Most could not. Here is the beginning of the third movement written by the AI. When I first heard this, I immediately thought of Beethoven's 5th symphony.
And I'm not the only one.
The scherzo is sloppy and uninspired, based on Beethoven's 5th symphony.
The third movement sounds a lot like something from the 5th.
It's just all variations of the 5th symphony.
In fact, the majority of reviews for the AI-finished symphony are not very positive. The American musicologist Jan Swafford stated, "AI has produced something that sounds unquestionably like a piece of music, only gangly and forgettable." And the British music journalist Norman Lebrecht wrote, "Beethoven's signature style, his urge to innovate, is painfully absent." In the end, the AI was really only able to create
a very poor, shoddy mashup of fragments of the earlier symphonies and, mixed in with little pieces of the sketches. It's just, I was not impressed by that at all.
Although the researchers did train the AI on Beethoven's entire body of work, they neglected to focus the training solely on Beethoven's late period, a period during which his music greatly differs from the music he wrote in his early and middle periods.
So it's pretty obvious that the general reception regarding the completion of Beethoven's 10th Symphony using artificial intelligence is mixed at best and harshly critical at worst. As exciting as it seems, many people still find AI-generated music to be rather boring and uninspired. It's true that AI can be an incredibly valuable tool, but perhaps it only works best for interpolation, and not so much for extrapolation. Although Beethoven left behind enough sketches for Cooper to assemble into a singular first movement, there just wasn't enough material to construct a complete symphony.
But maybe that's not such a bad thing. After all, Symphony No. 9 is widely recognized as one of the greatest works in history, as well as Beethoven's own magnus opus.
So to have that also be his last symphony only helps further seal its place in history. Perhaps we should stop romanticizing Beethoven's 10th Symphony and let the music rest, instead of trying to complete what was never meant to be. Since, in the end, we won't ever truly know what Beethoven had planned for his unfinished 10th Symphony.